Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Predictive AI World Forum. I'm your host, Malay Upadhyay, the Chief Customer Experience Officer at SalesChoice, and I'm joined here today by a panel of experts who are going to guide us through how to deliver value in order to survive today and thrive post-corona. I'm excited to see such a rich audience that we have with us today, spread out across 3 continents, ranging from half a dozen different industries, and consisting of both the C suite executives and leaders, as well as all other tiers that play such an important role in the growth of any organization. As they say, we are all in this together. So it is time to start off without further ado, trying to understand exactly what we can do to tackle the climate we are faced with today. So let me bring in Tom Dobie in order to introduce the panelists and take us onward.
Thank you, Malay. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today as well from my end. My name is Tom Dobie. I'm the founder of a company called Value Inspiration and the author of a book that I recently published, The Remarkable Effect. And it's indeed a pleasure for me to have this conversation today, which is very topical. And of course, you can see that from the title. Surviving today is something that every organization is dealing with these days. But the most important question at the end is, how do you thrive post-corona? And that is a choice. You can panic and do nothing, or you can say, hey, there's an opportunity here. The world is changing, and as a consequence, this is an enormous possibility for us to step up and to come out stronger. And that's exactly the conversation we're going to have today with people that I got on this slide from various areas from around the world. As you can possibly hear, my accent is not from North America. I'm actually Dutch. Timothy Willis, who's the COO of a company called Aerobotics. He's from South Africa, and Aerobotics is a very cool company that is that's using drone technology and AI to help farmers in the tree crop industry to actually manage their farm from their office. Then there is Cindy Gordon, Dr. Cindy Gordon, who is the CEO and founder of a company called SalesChoice from Toronto. And SalesChoice is helping sales leaders from around the world with far better forecasting and helping their sales to be sniper focused in terms of who they should work with in order to get the next level of business in. Another person that is also dear to my heart, because like Cindy and Timothy, has been on my podcast is Olin Hyde, who is a COO and the co-founder of a company called Leadcrunch. Leadcrunch is also in the sales and marketing business, really focused on helping organizations get sniper focused with regards to lead generation, giving you leads and even appointments on a plate. But I'll leave that further to explain later on to Olin. And last but not least, Len Georgiou, who's the president of a company, who's president at a company called RLDatix, a company from Toronto, Canada. That's a company that's on the forefront of patient safety and in the technology space as well. So all people that are seasoned with regards to technology, building companies, been around for a couple of years, these are actually the perfect people to ask the question, how do you survive today and thrive post-corona? So, I want to get directly into the first topic, which is exactly the topic that's on the screen here: surviving the short term. And I got a question for the audience. Just if you want to think about it for a minute, if you think about the one word or the 2 words, how do you feel about the next 6 months? And the outlook for your business, the business that you're responsible for, the business that you are working for. Think about that and put it into the chat. Just see what's coming in, which will prepare us at the end to get the conversation going. I'll wait for a couple of seconds. See what is coming in. High energy, good. And that proves a lot. what the session is going to be about. Anyone else? Well, if, we'll see that coming in later on. Maybe we'll pick up on that later on. So yeah, I mean, talking about surviving the short term, every organization has to deal with their customers, and a lot of organizations around the world have been in tough times. And what I've seen, and what I was reading one of the blogs from Leadcrunch, is typically something that if you ask the question, survive today and thrive tomorrow, you think about growing and about, of course, about selling as well and preparing yourself to come out better. But one of the things that struck me from one of the blogs that Olin wrote for his company, it said, bottom line, this is not the time to sell. This is the time to provide support and to build trust, which was really intriguing to me. Olin, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I think that I wrote that at the beginning of the COVID outbreak in the United States. And at that time, everybody was in, excuse me, in shock. I think that we've moved past that shock, and now we're in the second stage, which I would call denial. And the next stage will be anger. And as you can tell, I'm using the metaphor of the 7 stages of death to describe how people are reacting to the pandemic. Globally, many millions of people have lost their jobs, their businesses have gone out, a lot of businesses have gone away. Mark Cuban, who's a famous American entrepreneur, said, we are moving from America 1.0 to America 2.0. And that means America 1.0 is going to metaphorically die, and it's going to be replaced with something new and different. And I believe that's true globally. So when I wrote that, we were in the stage where it was very inappropriate to sell, because obviously some people would feel like we were being opportunistic, and we would never want to be opportunistic at other people's misery. And so I think that has changed. Right. Now people are starting to look at, how do we get back to work? How do we start to build this new economy? And it is emerging very rapidly. We have seen our business change dramatically. It's actually increased in volume, but the type of business that we're getting is different than it was, say, 6 months ago. So I would say that the most important thing right now for all companies is to be good citizens and act in trustworthy ways. And I still hold that the trust is the absolute most important thing a company can build. But it is starting to open up, and I think that it is time for people to start selling, and it's time to do it in a way that's smarter and maybe more compassionate than what was done before.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. That's the way I see it here from Europe as well. I mean, of course, the timing was different, but I see also that companies are going through different phases and starting to get less focused on what they believed before, and now trying to get back to normal again. But well, to hand the microphone to Cindy in this case, if you look at what has happened over the last 8-9 weeks with COVID entering our space, how do you compare your business now compared to 8 weeks ago? And more important, possibly, if anything has changed, what have you changed strategically in order to make that make it more profound to you?
Thanks, Tone, and dear guests and my esteemed colleagues. I think first and foremost is that we've had more reflection time. We've had time, I think, to step back and think in different ways, because now we just couldn't, to Olin's point, get the same kinds of people we had hoped in at least through the March and April, but things are opening up again now that we're into May, and we're seeing more buoyancy. But so we also stepped back and did a new branding strategy to tighten up our go-to-market messages. We started to plan now website upgrades, so very concrete operational aspects. We also invented some new capabilities in our software because I had more thinking time, and so did Malay and our engineers. So, we'll be releasing a new layer that's all around coaching insights. And because we do see that obviously there'll be more work from home, we'll continue to be highly more virtualized, and managers may even have less time than they had before. So, I think that real-time coaching that gives insights to drive successful outcomes is going to be very key. And I think the last point is the collaboration. You have to, like Olin, there's a real sensitivity before you engage. I was talking just yesterday to a senior partner at a major tier 1 private equity firm. And in the past, and I'm a former VC or an investment banker, nobody started off the call talking about your health first. And when we did that, I stepped back and I thought, oh my, if we've got the private equity market becoming more sensitive and, like Olin said, more compassionate, I just hope it stays. It was really a refreshing experience.
That's indeed something that I see as well. How about you, Len? What have you seen changing over the past 8 weeks in RLDatix, and what have you changed in the meantime?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So we're in patient safety, directly deal with healthcare organizations worldwide. We have 3,300 customers, mostly in the United States, but RL was a company before a merger with Datix that was largely embedded in the United States market, and Datix a large market share in the UK and many clients outside of that. And essentially, we've been providing significant support for healthcare staff around COVID in the past 8 weeks, in terms of helping them with utilizing additional modules, software modules they may not have used in the past. So we have an infection module that we've provided for free for clients that don't have that. Safety huddles to ensure that there is due diligence done to avoid further accidents, if you will, right, or incidents for both patients and healthcare staff who are very risk in risky situations. And essentially, we've actually, even though there's been focus on addressing and the healthcare needs for patients, we have seen significant growth in our business beyond all the free modules we've provided.
That's good news. Growth, of course, means some thrive and some suffer a little bit from it. And you see that different organizations do different things with that. One of the things, by the way, that I want to address now as my next topic here is that when I was speaking to CEOs around the world, a couple of the conversations was, for example, with Cindy as well. What I saw at the end was that even though certain industries were possibly hit more than others by COVID, sometimes, of course, there were still areas that were becoming more relevant than others, simply because of shifting priorities. So one of the things that I've been discussing a lot with my tribe is, where to focus, where not to focus, and what to change positioning-wise as well to become more relevant in this time. Because with all the news going over, a lot of people also get sort of a noise filter. And one of the things that reminded me of inviting, in this case, Timothy to this show was my interview with Timothy from Aerobotics. And the story we had back then, which is also part of my book, The Remarkable Effect, was around segmentation. And what was actually boiling up in preparation for this show, Timothy, was the question: has your approach and your sniper-focused segmentation that you started the company on, has this turned out to be the right choice for you? Can you elaborate a little bit on that? And how has it paid off for you in this time?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I think for us, it's been critical to focus on two things over the past year, and both have really paid off for us, during this time. The first one has been that we've always had a focus on citrus farmers. James Patterson, who founded the business, Aerobotics, grew up on a citrus farm, and his dad's a citrus farmer, so it's always been a very close to home topic and one that we've been solving for. So for instance, in the last year, we've released, in addition to our orchard monitoring product, a new product that helps citrus farmers estimate their yield. So we're actually looking at counting fruit using drones. And what we found is that as you've come into a situation like this one with COVID, you know, farmers are looking at ways that they can automate and that they can, you know, I suppose bring on social distancing technologies such as drones onto the farm. And a lot of the relationships which we've built up for a long period of time, you know, are paying off now because, you know, we're a trusted advisor and supporter of those farmers. So I think that's the first one. And then the second one is we also work very closely with insurance companies in the US specifically, in helping them get metrics for their perennial crop growers. And again, you know, COVID has restricted the amount of, or how they're able to move their employees around, and we've been able to come in and really support them with making better decisions and doing it quicker than they were even previously able to do, you know, in the new normal. So I think being very focused on these sectors or these segments for the last year has really paid off at this time, and you know, our business has really benefited from building that trust and those relationships with these individuals.
Yeah, I mean, I actually want to dig in a little bit further on that, because when we did the interview for the podcast, that was back in 2018, I think, it was already some time ago. One of the things that I found remarkable was that you sort of went counterintuitive, where the market for the crop market, farming market and crops is extremely large, and you went for like a sub-segment of that, or like almost 10%. And what it helped you to do was become highly specialized, and as a consequence, far more relevant to them. That's yeah, I mean, has that relevance and being so specialized, has that paid off for you?
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, initially we selected perennial crops, so tree crops as the crop type, and even within that crop type we've become even more focused. So for instance, like we only work with mainly citrus growers and nut growers, rather than just sort of any perennial crop. So for instance, we don't work with you know, vegetable farmers and certain other tree crops and wine grapes and those kind of things. We're very focused on certain crop types within, and every time we've taken a step to almost reduce our target audience because of the ability that's given us to specialize, we've seen growth come directly from that. And even the growth with you know, our insurance aspects has actually come through that, because we've built such great capabilities for these farmers. We're able to share those insights with the insurers, and they're super valuable. So we've definitely gone away from like a one-size-fits-all approach and tried to be sniper focused, as you put it.
Yeah, I mean, that's of course what you typically see. If the market is shrinking, you tend to go wider rather than more focused. And this is exactly an opportunity to do that, where relevance starts to count. I mean, switching to Cindy again. You build an AI business that helps sales professionals be more focused, as I already told in the introduction. Do you think, because AI at the end is still in its infancy for a lot of companies, do you think that AI adoption rates will increase post-COVID? And what are you doing about it?
Well, I'm sure Olin will have some views on this, but I'll just quickly dive in. First of all, what's really been interesting is following the market researchers. Gartner just released in April a report acknowledging that if companies are not applying AI in sales enablement, they likely will not survive. So it's all around edging. So I'm finding the market researchers are really pushing the knowledge into the industry at an accelerated pace. So I mean, I just read this literally again yesterday preparing for this. So I think that's one important factor. We've been in the market for some time, and we find that the buyers are usually the high innovators. They've got good data sound practices, and so I do believe, to your point, Tone, that COVID is in many ways is going to help people to think a little bit harder about their processes and their practices. The other market leader is Jim Dickey out in the market, who is at Sales Mastery. He just released the Market Leaders in AI for Sales report, and we've been fortunate to be profiled in there for the last 2 years. But what's interesting is that the AI leaders all know one another, and I now know Ton, and I mean, in terms I know all of you, and that's delightful. But what I'm also finding is that the AI leaders can help move the industry ahead. So I think we're going to see more collaboration, across the different sectors, because we do need more GDP stimulation. And in many ways, people have to look beyond where they are in order to really strengthen the ecosystem. In terms of your last question, what we're trying to do to help our customers in the art of focus, well, I started this company on one premise, and that is that sales professionals suffer from attention deficit disorder. About 30% of them do. But the more alarming facts are, the human condition in terms of attention has been dropping year over year, and we're down to attention and cognitive spans of less than 10 seconds. So, when you're into that art of focus and sniper precision, what's really, really key is that the AI enablements have to give you incredible value in real time. They can't be based on static assumptions in the models. So what we've been trying to do is to build the deepest insights that you can, because we know people now, even if you provide the analytical intelligence, they need insights in real time on their move. So in many ways, it's like, I think, playing chess. Should I increase my price? Yes or no? Should I, follow this particular opportunity versus another? And give me not the odds, but why? So I can peel the onion back and become smarter. And now we see that there's an increased need, as I mentioned, for the coaching. So I think it's an interesting time. I mean, McKinsey's been saying for, about the last 3 years, if you don't start applying predictive AI and analytics, you're likely not going to survive. But now Gartner's really, really punching it up and making strong recommendations. So I'm hopeful, that the speed will increase, and I do think all the ecosystem is really making an impact. It's just not us. I think it's all the players, and obviously I think the other factor is all of us need to survive and grow, and that means I think a lot of market consolidation is going to play out.
Yeah, agree.